It's DJ Ash Noble, and this is a first, isn't it? Doing the aftermath of a gig, night of the gig, like it's something that I don't think I've ever done before on the channel. I normally do them the next day or even sometimes the day after, just depending on how it went. But I thought, do you know what? I've just not long since got back, and I thought, do you know what? I'm feeling like, let's do the aftermath now. Let's get it out the way, and let's talk about the self, and then we can focus on the next gig, which is obviously Glow with it tomorrow. So, for those of you who don't know, if you've not locked into the previous streams or watched any of them back, as you don't just have to watch these live, you'll know that tonight I was playing at the Residents Association, which was at the Adelphia Club in Hull, just off Newland Avenue, and it's a night that showcases just local talent, a variety mixture of different music and upcoming DJs. And it's a little bit different to any other sort of event or night that you would actually play. You only get 10 minutes to you only get 20 minutes to do a DJ set. And a lot of people will turn their noses up and go like 20 minutes is hardly any time. However, 20 minutes to do a set is actually a really good time. And it actually forces you to be so creative with your sets, and it makes you think like, right, what am I going to cram in for 20 minutes? How am I going to fit sort of like loads of tunes into 20 minutes essentially, and a lot of extended remixes, a lot of full length mixes are like 4 or 5 minutes long. So by the time you played a couple of them, you've already sort of gone through half of your time. I mean, let's just say, for example, if one tune itself was, 5 minutes long, then you played another tune that was another 5 minutes long. That's two tracks, and you're halfway through your set already. So it forces you to be creative, and it forces. Sorry, I've got an itch as well. It forces you to do something a little bit different, which is what I had to do. I thought, right, I've got 20 minutes here. I could just go and play, two or three, four at the most of my favourite bangers and call it a night. Or I could really think about this. How am I going to cram as many tunes as I can into 20 minutes? How am I going to fit all these tunes into 20 minutes? What am I going to do? And I decided that I was going to do like a little bit of almost like a history of dance music. So some of you may or may not remember, I used to help run a radio station called Layman Radio with my good friend Lee. And I used to do a show on there every Monday called My House to Your House. And the purpose of the show was to find as many sort of remixes of like classic old dance and house tunes and trance tunes. And My House to Your House, it was just aimed at playing all these sort of like songs. So every song was supposed to be like a well-known tune, but it would be like a remix of it with something different about it, whether it be like a bass line drop, whether it would be like a deep house drop, a tech house drop. No, you. I've got a cat here. Look. Meet Tiny. I've got a brew next to me, and he wants to try the brew out, don't you? But it's not for you. It's not for you. Look at that. Look, even Tiny here. Look, he says, "Look, I've done a really good set tonight." Yeah, he agreed. He was front row, you see. He come raving. He was front row. Yeah, no, the tea's not for you. Um, so yeah, so I thought, well, so yeah, so I've got a little bit lost on what I was saying. Yeah, so Layman Radio, I did this My House to Your House show, and I thought for playing the Residents, because there is a lot of DJs that play that sort of style of music where it is like deep house, tech house, bass line, that kind of thing. I thought let's go through and dig out some of these tunes and let's play like a history of dance music, like a history of house. So there were some tunes that were big in the 90s. There were some tunes that were big in the 2000s. That were just absolutely fantastic. And I played remixes of them. That was kind of what I decided to do for the set, and I think I crammed about 14 songs, if not maybe just slightly less, into about 20 minutes, into a 20-minute set, which 13 songs into a 20-minute set actually is not bad at all. And I sort of like gave a good vibe off of every song. It wasn't like you didn't get a chance to get into the tune before the next one came in. You still did as well. You got the vibe of what it was, and it just sort of took you on a quick little sort of like evolution through some like dance tunes and house tunes, like I say, ranging from the 90s into the 2000s, which was just a really good vibe in general. So the night started at 8. And I got there just before. I actually thought I was going to be late because I was a little bit later setting off. I was just making sure that my set was actually on the USB stick as well, and that it was ready. And I put them into my CDJs, and I couldn't find any house tunes on there. You don't have to analyze USB sticks to use my decks. So when you plug an analyzed USB stick in, it reads all funny on my CDJs, and it comes up with like unknown and 4321 instead of the tune name, or it'll just come up saying Clubland, and then you'll click on it, and then it'll just be like say like a Breeze and Styles tune or something. And I couldn't find a house tune, and because there was that many songs on there as well. It's almost like the CDJ was only reading so many of them, which was a bit of a shame. So I was thinking, like, because I was certain I'd, exported it to my stick, but I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to boot my PC up and just, have a check and, make sure everything's all tickety boo. And I did, and it was. So I shut the PC down, and I thought, do you know what? It's going to take me a fair walk to get there. So I was thinking, I might get there for about 8:15 or something like that. But I actually got there from about 10 to 8. So I was actually a little bit earlier than I thought, and I was there ready for the night. I was there ready for when the night started. So it started at 8, and it was very slow starting. The club was absolutely dead. It was empty, and I thought it had been like sort of 10, sort of 15 minutes, and there was hardly anyone here. About 2, 3 people had come in, and that was it. And I was starting to think a bit like, oh, do you know what? It's at that point now where it could either go two ways. It might pick up, and it might absolutely just start getting busy, or it's just going to be one of them nights where it's just going to be dead quiet all night. And then it got a little bit later on, about half an hour into the nights, from when it had obviously opened, when they'd opened the doors, and it was still dead. And I was sort of thinking to myself, do you know what? I think this is going to be a quiet night tonight. There must not be as many people coming out. A bit more time passed. This time, doors had been open about 45 minutes, and a few people started to come in, but again, nothing that was really going to make it sort of busy. Then a few people, believe it or not, had actually come in and gone straight through another door and gone straight to the smoking area. So I went outside to get a bit of air before going on. And I thought, smoking area is quite busy, and a lot of people hadn't come into the main room first, and then some people did come in and then to the main room and got a drink and then went out. And it was starting to slowly but surely get a little bit more lively, but it still wasn't anything that was mega. It was still a little bit what I'd class as quiet. Um, and then I go on the decks. I get ready to go on. Guy actually lets me go on a minute early as well. So I got 25 minutes instead of 20. I got 21 minutes instead of 20 minutes. Which I was like, oh yay, every minute helps, every little helps, as the lady said when she peed in the sea. So I go on, and the dance floor just starts filling up and filling up. Um, Everyone's jamming and buzzing off my tunes. There's bass line drops. There's so many different drops coming in. So many well-known tunes. Some tunes that people hadn't heard for ages as well. And the place was just absolutely vibing. It was getting busier and busier. And then I come off the decks after my set, and the place is heaving. The place is absolutely packed. It's rammed. The outside is busy. The inside is busy. And from there on, it gets busier and busier, to the point where I'm actually thinking to myself that this venue is going to be about at its capacity. The outside was absolutely packed. The inside was packed. And it was just absolutely, it was heaving. It was full of people. It's actually, in all fairness, it's the busiest I've seen it. I've been in that venue a couple of times now, and that is the busiest I've ever seen it. The place was absolutely, like I say, I would to guess, I would say, if all of them people that were outside all came inside and no one was outside, the venue would be about at its indoor capacity. Um, because the place isn't a massive place in itself. It's not too bad. If you've been to Cubed nightclub, which is in Leicester above Boxed, it's similar to that club, but it's bigger. But it's not like too much bigger. If anything, it's a little bit wider. And it is just that little bit bigger. I would imagine. It probably fit maybe about 30, 40, maybe 50 more people compared to the Cubed in Leicester. Um, but yeah, the place was just absolutely heaving. It was rammed. I got some really good feedback regarding my set. I have got a little 20-second video to upload as well. I'll probably upload as a short, YouTube short, just because it is a really short video. Oh, don't know what. Wondered what that was, but it was me on the mattress at first, making a little. Um, yeah, so the place was just heaving, and I sadly, and even right now, I don't actually feel too well. Um, I I don't know. I started to develop. Well, this afternoon I developed like a little bit of a light headache, and I felt real sort of like as if I had no energy. I hadn't really eaten much. My friend needed to eat, so I thought, do you know what? Maybe I need to eat myself. So I grabbed something to eat, and to be honest, I felt better for it. I did feel a bit better for it. And then I was in the venue, it got warm and it got stuffy. And then I started to develop this headache again. Only this time it was a little bit worse. I was feeling a bit warm. I was feeling a little bit sort of just like a bit like a bit sick, a bit like just like a little bit like I can't be bothered. Um, that kind of thing. Just a little bit in general, a bit like just not all together there. A bit too warm, bit like, you know what, it's too warm in here. Outside was just crowded as well. And I thought, well, do you know what, I've got a gig tomorrow. So I left probably about quarter past towards 11:30. I actually left the residents association night. I just thought, I don't feel totally right, and I don't feel totally right now. I feel a little bit, I've got this sort of like headache. I feel a bit warm. I just don't feel completely right. I just feel a little bit sort of just not altogether there. So I want to make sure that obviously I'm ready to smash it again tomorrow, at the Glow with it. I don't want to be too ill and pulling out, and I most certainly don't want to be. I just, again, I just, I want to make sure that I'm well and I'm all right. So I left a little bit earlier. Like I say, I had another booking anyway, and I wasn't planning anyway on staying the whole night from the off because I had another booking. Um, I was always just going to do my set, stay for a little bit, and then go. And then someone I know was there. Who was actually in my band, Noble and the Gang. He actually offered me a Jaeger bomb. Said, "Did I want a Jaeger bomb?" And I actually, believe it or not, and this is going to shock so many people if they watch this. I turned it down, and a lot of people don't know because I'm not a when it comes to like personal things, I'm not really an open person about stuff like that on Facebook. And I'll be completely honest with you, right? I got told from a friend of mine that if the drinking it actually blocks out like positive vibrations. It might sound a little bit daft, and it actually it makes you not you. It make and obviously, as you know, when you get drunk, you do things um, that you don't you don't mean to do, or you don't realize you're doing. And apparently you're pouring almost like bad things into your body, things that are taking control of your body, and apparently it's not good for you, and stuff like that. And everyone obviously knows that drinking's not the best thing for you. And I was never no alcoholic. I mean, I wasn't an alcoholic, and I never have been. But when it would come to a rave or house party, I would like to have a good few drinks. So I was one of these where I could go all week without a drink. I could go a few weeks without a drink. But then if I went onto a drinking session, I'd make up for it. I'd have loads of Jaeger bombs, and I'd spend loads of money at the bar, and I'd go through money like no tomorrow. I used to go live on Instagram, and I used to be like, "Oh, look at me, I'm at the pub," and people would comment in the chats like, "Oh, down the rest of your pint," and then I'd, me being the stupid idiot, I'd down the rest of my pint. I'd have all these like 3, 4 shots, and people in the pub, "Oh, you're not gonna see all them off," and then I see them all off, and they're like, "Whoa, yes, noble lad." And then also my other friends, I felt like they encouraged me to get drunk as well, and so they could just not in such a good way. And then I started going to all these events with my friend, and we were sort of driving there and driving back. So I was sort of keeping a clear head for him, so I could sort of help him, if he's a bit tired driving back. And then also, I was drinking quite a bit on sessions, and I wasn't feeling too clever the next day. A little bit like how I feel now, but worse. And I was just thinking in the end, like, what is it all for? I'm spending sort of 30, 40, 50 quid upwards just to make myself feel crap like this. And it's no good, and I just thought, well, I could spend it on other things, I could get myself something nice, as opposed to just, wasting it on getting smashed, getting wrecked on booze. And my friend was like, more good things will happen to you if you give up the booze, and you go to an event, and you keep it sober, and you're not getting drunk, and you can't remember the event, and you're falling into the equipment, and you're too drunk to play your set. It's going to give you a bad name. And I thought, well, you know what? Yeah, it's true. So I've actually kind of knocked the drinking on the head. At first I cut down because I thought, well, do you know what? I do enjoy drinking. I'll cut down, but I don't really want to like just if I just completely stop, I think it'll just make it worse for me. So I thought I'll cut down, and then I did start cutting down, and then I started realizing how much I actually don't want the booze. So yeah, so someone, like I say, a friend of mine who's in Noble and the Gang, who was there tonight, said, "Did I want a Jaeger bomb?" And a lot of people knew me for necking and necking loads of them. And I actually turned it down. I said, I said, whoa, I said, no, I don't actually want this, and I don't, and I didn't, and I didn't have it. I just stuck to soft drinks, which was really mad and crazy. But yeah, absolutely belting night. Just thought I'd do the live now as I was kind of back and I was awake, and I just thought, what, let's do it. Let's get it out the way, and let's take it from there. I'm gonna cut the stream now. Gonna get settled down and try and get my head down because I don't feel totally right. I feel a little bit warm. I feel a bit fusty headed. It's a bit hard to explain. I just feel like I feel like I've sort of like had lack of sleep. I feel like I've sort of like just got back from like a really sort of like big late rave where and I've had like quite a drive back. But I haven't. And I've come back like really early as well. Compared to what I'd usually come back. I'd usually get back at like say 3, 4 in the morning. And I just feel a little bit like that sort of stroke how I'd feel the next day, like a bit tired, a bit headachy. It's a bit of a weird feeling because I've not really felt it before. It's like just on a normal sort of Friday where I've not really done too much. And to be honest, I had a decent-ish lie-in this morning. Um, Yesterday afternoon, I slept all afternoon. But I was awake really early because I had the job interview. And I was awake at 6 or something, and then I got up at like 6:45. But yeah, so yeah, a really good night at the residence. Massive shout to Scotty Longthorpe for putting me on. It was a pleasure to play. He really enjoyed the set. So I was buzzed about that. What I do just want to mention as well, before I do, because I can't finish without saying about this, because this kind of blew me away, and I'll explain why it blew me away. I'm getting ready to go on, getting ready, and the guy who's going to come on after me comes up and he's like, "Can I plug my USB stick in now?" Blah blah blah. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Because I only use the one stick and then it links to the other CDJ. Um, so I say, look, the CDJ that I've not got my stick plugged into, yeah, plug yours in ready. And he was asking a little bit about the equipment, like where's so and so, and just a bit like he don't really know the equipment. Blah blah blah. So I was a bit like, I wasn't too sure myself. That some of them, was about like cue points and stuff. And I said, look, when you've analysed your tunes on Record Box, when you plug them in the CDJ, the cue points will show up because they do. So he's like, oh yeah, sweet, cool. So I finished my set, and he goes to get ready for his set. He doesn't have an headphone jack. So I'm a little bit like, oh, he ain't got an headphone jack. So I'm like, all right, borrow mine, but I need it back, and I got it back. And then he goes to his stick, and his stick loads, but it's not being analysed. And he's having all sorts of little like iffy jiffy problems. His BPMs aren't loading, and I just think, oh, this guy don't even know what he's doing. Blah blah blah. And then I'm not kidding you, right? He dropped one of the sickest and best D&B sets that I've ever heard in my entire life. Like his cue points that he just memorized himself because they weren't showing. His mixing was just absolutely like you could not fault it. And the D&B selection was just wicked. The drops were heavy, a proper jump up. It was really enjoyable. It was one hell of a banging set, and he absolutely smashed the pants out of it. And and it just goes to show, never judge a book by its cover, because he was having all sorts of issues. His stick weren't analysed. He didn't have an headphone jack, and I just thought, this guy doesn't really know what he's doing. This guy's probably he's having all sorts of issues. And I always find it quite bizarre myself because I've not been DJing myself. and sometimes I'm telling people how to use equipment and stuff. Like there was somewhere where I played not too long back. I think it was yeah, it was stomping. And the next guy, I had to like literally tell him how to use how to work and use the controller, and I was a bit like, you know, as if like, you know, like, because I ain't been doing it that long myself, so I'm thinking like I shouldn't have to, am I really at that sort of level of stage of telling people how to use a controller? When I'm still learning myself, but it's like I've got the knowledge and I know, to obviously tell people. But yeah, I thought I'd share that because it changed from me thinking this guy don't really know what he's doing. And I'll be honest, I'll be honest, and I'll hold my hands up and I'll apologise. When he had these issues going on, I thought he's going to have issues. Maybe things aren't going to go right for him. Maybe he don't really know what he's doing. Maybe he's up and coming and new. And he just dropped this absolutely amazing D&B set, and D&B is not the easiest genre to mix. So my hats off go to him. I fist bumped the dude. He's playing somewhere in Hull next Friday, and I think I'm going to go down and see him. It was just absolutely wicked. It was D&B all night long during his set. So yeah. But that is going to do it. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share. And yeah, take it easy, people. Boom.